Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Art of Awakening. And I have a really special guest here today. And if any of you who are in business, thinking about business, or just interested in entrepreneurship, you're going to love this interview here. So Andrea Win, I would love to welcome you here to the channel. Thank you so much for being here. And I know that this is going to be I think there's going to be a lot of epiphanies or light bulb moments. So can I introduce you first a little bit, and then we'll dive into conversation?
That would be awesome. And thank you so much for inviting me into your beautiful community, Ona. As I was saying before we went live, I really think the world of you and the work that you're doing. So it's a real honor to be able to come in and to have this conversation with you today. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm honored to have you as well. Okay, so a quick introduction of Andrea. Andrea's a spiritual business coach and a catalyst for change, and she works globally to invoke healing, authentic spirituality, and business success. And her passion is empowering spiritual entrepreneurs to live their full potential through their own business. And she's been on all sorts of pretty cool places, including the New York Times, Newsweek, The Guardian. She's been interviewed by NPR, CBS, and CBC TV. But really, most importantly, she's personally just walking the talk. She's integrated deep personal healing with strong academic training, healing arts training, and all sorts of other things into her business. And she's just amazing at being this really super grounded presence to help spiritual entrepreneurs, just get aligned and feel comfortable and happy and prosperous in their businesses. So welcome, Andrea. So I think maybe if we could just very briefly have just a little background of how you got into this work, why spiritual entrepreneurship, and maybe a little bit about your journey.
Okay. Thanks for, just briefly, because it has been a lifelong journey. I was brought up Tibetan Buddhist, so from a very early age, was really immersed in deep spirituality, and I have really embraced that spiritual path. That particular religion has resonated strongly for me, although I am not part of any formal group. So, in terms of religion, it does not seem that religion works for me. A little bit too structured and controlling, and so. Um, I guess I will just fast forward to when I was figuring out what I would do. First, I went in to getting training as a psychotherapist, and I focused my training on trauma healing, specifically from relational trauma. And after I started working as a therapist for 2 or 3 years, I realized that it just wasn't enough for me. So I decided to explore coaching because I'm just a little bit too ambitious a person to be a good therapist. So what I really love doing.
Love that. I love that self-knowledge, right? Because it's easy to get kind of put oneself into a box and to have that realization about yourself. So continue.
Thank you. Okay. Yes, it was an important moment of evolution. So I have come to really love working with business people, business leaders, and helping them to get clear and also being able to support them integrating things in an organic way. So that's where it was not wasted time getting that psychotherapy training and experience. I bring that in to helping people organically create and grow their businesses. So I have gotten into working with business people because I do have a real passion. I have no doubt that I've had past lives as really deeply within business because I love business. I love all aspects of business. I love creating, the intention for a strong business. I love creating the structures for effectively running a business. I love the area of marketing and promotion. I think that it's the place where we meet the world. And I will specifically say that it's in that area of the marketing and promotion that I found sacred commerce, which I know we're going to be talking about, to be so helpful. Because I have done coaching with quite a number of these high scale coaching people, coaching firms, and the 3D model, that conventional marketing model, it totally took me away from the way that my spirit and my soul wanted to go. It
Mm.
was encouraging me to do practices that involved, trying to influence people in a manipulative way. And
Yes.
every time that I tried these, this is absolutely going to work for you methods
Mhm.
that I was taught, it so I fell flat on my face every time. And so I appreciate that, because that is just not something that works for me. So I was very blessed to come across sacred commerce, which resonates much more deeply with my spiritual approach to life.
Sure.
And it gave me a way of bringing spirituality into my business and actually making running my business my spiritual path.
Beautiful. And let's hold that thought. I need to let the cat in because she's going crazy. So,
Okay.
all right. So, but okay, there is so much that you just dropped there that I would
Mm,
love to take and run with. So I guess a couple things, and maybe you can just kind of choose which one. But you've early on you said organically, growing the business organically. So that's one thing that I'd love to hear more about, because, and I think it ties in with what you were talking about, the marketing and all the tried and true, stuff that we're told to do to market our businesses, and how, like, because I've had the same experience, and I came into this from marketing, right? Especially as a business writer, know all the tricks and all the promotional stuff, and I was taught some
mm,
stuff that that works, but it's like it just yuck, right? So
yeah.
and way back, starting into onto this path of spiritual entrepreneurship, it was like I too fell flat on my face over and over and over again, because the techniques and the strategies and the tactics didn't align. And so maybe if we could first of all touch on that idea of organic growth, organic versus whatever else is out there, and then maybe move into, well, so what are some of the things that we're asked to do as entrepreneurs that don't tend to align on the spiritual path.
Okay. Thank you for being so attuned to this important area. So, just addressing the first thing that you said, what does organic business growth or organic approach to business, what can that look like? So, I'll answer this first, and then I would love for you to answer from your experience. So, what I have found really goes back to that developmental approach to psychology. And for me, the organic business growth, the organic approach to business is that it can't just be a mind thing. It can't just be a head thing of, do these three things and your business is going to be a success. Like that immediately just pulls you out of your place with your soul and
Mhm.
puts you into your head, and you think, oh, I've got to do this and then this and then this. And then your ego gets its candy. Then I'm going to have all this success.
Right.
So the approach with the organic part is setting up the foundation, really being rooted in who you are. So in sacred commerce, they talk about your inner commerce. Your inner commerce is this wealth of who you are. So
Mhm.
that's where it all has to begin. When I lead people through one of my coaching programs that is about starting up and growing a business, we go through basic things of first connecting with your spiritual team, creating that channel of communication with your spiritual team.
Mhm.
Then we identify, what does abundance mean for you? So I mean, there's so much out there that's telling you this is what abundance is, this is what you're supposed to have. But we, again, that is divorcing us from our soul.
Think
So
it's huge.
personally defining,
Yes.
what does abundance mean for
Mhm.
you?
Yeah.
And then looking at, who is your ideal customer, and really going through, I lead people through a process, but going through a deep clarifying process of energetically and emotionally knowing who your ideal customer is,
Right.
creating that entity, for lack of a better word,
Mm,
and I call it the ideal customer avatar, maybe
mhm.
even naming it, getting to know them, knowing what's important to them, and
Sure.
relating with them as you are developing all your materials for reaching out to them so that you know how to converse with them, how to speak to the heart. All
Mm,
of this is about keeping connected with your heart, your values, what's important to you, and then building that in
mhm.
to how you approach the world, how you do your business. And
Right.
so it really is just, starting out with knowing yourself, getting really grounded in who you are, what your spiritual values are, and
Mhm.
then step by step, building your business in alignment with that. So
Right.
I'm wondering how that resonates for you, and also, maybe you've had some different experiences with it.
Yeah, I think it resonates very strongly, and I'm intrigued with the idea of defining your own abundance, because I feel like for me personally that's been a big part of the picture, because like the big house and the big car and stuff like that is like never appealed to me. I remember being in a business workshop way back when. This is before I even got on the spiritual path, but one of them, it was a mastermind group, and one of them looked at me and was like, "You're not really, you're not really driven by money, are you?" And I was like, "No." And they all looked at me like I was an alien. And they're like, "Well, what are you driven by?" And I was like, "Well, that's a good question." You know, Love, I think.
Mm,
But but having to redefine, well, what is it that actually is, abundant for me? For me personally, a lot of it's freedom, and the freedom to express, but especially because I am a channel, and the communication is a big part of what I do. The freedom to express in the way that I'm being directed to, right? Rather than, like you said, you know do these three magic things, and this is how you do your messaging. It's been a real struggle, right, in it, to find that
mm,
balance between what's the authentic voice and what needs to be spoken, and all the training that I've had, and all the stuff that we're supposed to do. So finding that authenticity has been huge. And also it's like, well, what is it? I think the abundance thing is really key, because I can be happy, and I've done this living in a garden shed, right, for 2 years, and I mean, I can be just as happy there as in a huge house, right? I've done both,
mm,
and that the happiness is not, I think when you get to a certain point, is not necessarily connected with the outward kind of wealth little things that we all think of, right? um, so finding that personal, where's the abundance, for me, connection with nature and having the time. Time, I
mm.
think, is to me more an indication of abundance than the material. So
I love that.
yeah. Yeah. So where do you see entrepreneurs? And I want to talk about sacred commerce and what that is in just a sec, but where do you see entrepreneurs, or spiritually, who are on the spiritual path? Where do you see the most common struggles that
I
they might be, working with, or why do they come to you specifically?
Okay. The number one biggest struggle has been how to attract more clients, how to fill their client load. That's
Mhm,
been the number one issue that I've been seeing.
mhm,
And um, you know, when you were just talking, something was kind of bubbling up for me, and it relates actually directly to this.
mhm,
Is that any kind of challenges that we personally have around relationship, it's going to appear in a very big way when
Yeah.
running a business, because business is very much about building relationships.
Mhm.
It's a very much about showing up, being present, being energetically open to connecting with other people,
Mhm.
also being open to sharing your inner wealth with other people in a clear and energetically clear way, in a way that's appropriate for other people to be able to hear.
Yeah.
And so I really am finding that, like when I say that running a business, a spiritual business, it is your spiritual path. It really is about things will appear that are related to your limitations,
Yep. Mhm.
and it is the hero's journey of being able to acknowledge what shows
Mhm.
up. Like if I'm not getting all the clients that I want, then actually looking into what within me is blocked, closed off, not willing to really be generous and open with the world to share what I am doing. So I do a lot of work around helping people to sort of break down that resistance. Um, and also, there's always the honoring of what was within the resistance. It's not just about crushing resistance, but it is about wearing it down and getting out there, getting into circulation, and being that instigator for more flow through you reaching out about your business. So it really is it's sort of like our relational handicaps seems to be like one of the biggest struggle points, which is behind the immediate issue of I am not getting as many clients as I want.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's always that inner work, right? Starting with, you know, the kingdom of heaven is within, or all of it, right? All the entrepreneurial, abundance is within as well. Um, you've thrown about the term sacred commerce several times, and I know that this is something that is. As soon as you said that, I got chills. Like the first time that we talked, and you said the phrase
Mm,
commerce, I was like, "Whoa!" Chills right up the spine. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about that and what that is.
well, thank you. And, with you experiencing those chills, you may have had a past life where you were involved with sacred commerce.
Oh, interesting. Okay, wouldn't surprise me because for whatever reason I have this like little driving voice. It's like work with entrepreneurs and work in business, and it's like I was not raised in a entrepreneurial family at all, where my whole family's academics, and but it's always been this little thing for whatever reason. So that's interesting about past lives. Do you find that that's a common thing for entrepreneurs to have past life
Well,
with commerce?
now, honestly, that I would not know.
Uh-huh.
But it was just within me when you were saying about, this reaction that you were having when I brought it up. It was like, it wouldn't surprise me.
Okay,
So,
that's cool. Mm,
so sacred commerce. First of all, I just would like to honor the place where I learned about it from a man named Ayman Sawaf, and he and his wife Rowan Gabrielle, they took a trip to Egypt, and on that trip, they were basically spiritually visited
mm,
by spiritual guides that were involved with sacred commerce. And so they started downloading a lot of teachings. And so originally, this was part of um, an order of
mm.
merchant priests and priestesses in ancient Egypt, where
Inter
they actually practiced business, practiced commerce as their spiritual practice. So
Wow.
they,
Wow. Oh,
so
sorry. Let me just
basically,
pause right there. Listen, I just pause right there. An ancient order in Egypt that practiced commerce as their sacred spiritual path. Okay. I just wanted that to sink in because it flies so much in the face of a lot of the kind of beliefs that circulate in spiritual circles, that business is not a spiritual thing. So
yeah,
thank you for
thank you.
bringing that. I mean, I'd never heard of that. That's cool.
Thank you. Thank you for stopping so that this can sink in.
Mhm.
You are helping this to be um, a very alive and living experience for everybody participating in this conversation. So, sacred commerce was practiced by merchant priests and merchant priestesses. And as I was taught, that the merchant priestesses would be specifically like staying at home, like, you know, if they had a temple or whatever their location was,
Mhm.
they would be staying there and working with the energies around the work that their order, their group was doing. They would be creating an environment of safety and calm. And the priests were the ones who would go out into the world,
Mhm.
and they would, as they happened upon people, they would engage people. And the priestesses creating an environment of safety around them allowed them to be able to have conversations with people. And specifically, they would be bartering things that would uplift people's lives out of that survival mode
Yeah.
into a place where they could be considering and working upon themselves as spiritual beings. So they would barter things like sacred herbs and books and things like this that
Mhm.
would help people to be able to lift out of that survival mode. And so
Wow.
I think it's a beautiful model. And I have been working on it since I first met Iman in 2016. I had this gift of getting to work with him one on one over
Mhm.
the course of several months, really being mentored by him in this. And ever since then, I've been working at integrating this. And as well as part of my morning routine, I pray to the merchant priest and the merchant priestess for their support, their guidance, and I've been doing that for years.
Wow.
So I have been looking at how to incorporate this, and the very exciting, most recent development is in Christmas time of 2021.
Mhm.
I prayed to be able to find a merchant priestess to work with, and in March of 2022, I met Eden Curvin, who has been a priestess for many lives. And I created this PowerPoint presentation, which I presented to her, inviting her to become part of this business, become into a collaborative team to be doing sacred commerce together. So did a little education piece on sacred commerce. And I'm delighted to say that she was sold. And so she and I have been working together since then,
Nice.
bringing together. I've been able to focus more exclusively on the merchant priest, that masculine role of engaging people. And she, when we do programs together, and as well, just on a daily basis, setting up an energetic portal for the business, she works with the energy and creating that sense of safety and calm so that I am able to connect with people and have conversations that can help them again to uplift out of sort of the fear mode that
Right.
so much of the world is trying to put people into,
Right.
to be able to really dream and to also take practical steps in order to develop their business.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh, I love the masculine feminine dynamic, the two great creative forces of the universe and embodying those. I I have a question about that in just a sec. But I just also love the whole concept of using business as a healing modality, in effect, right?
Mm,
That you're that's what I'm interpreting it as, just this real sacredness around it. Um, so I love that you and Eden have this amazing partnership, and I feel like my husband and I are also kind of, and I know that you don't have to be, personally in partnership, but having that kind of partnership can be super, super helpful. What would you say to like a solopreneur who doesn't necessarily have another person to embody the other, another polarity? Because sometimes like a lot of us will kind of polarize towards more the masculine or the feminine polarity energetically, right, in our business or in life. What would you say to the solopreneur and how to keep those energies balanced?
okay, great question. So So I worked as a solopreneur for basically 6 years
Mm,
before Eden came on, and so, what I have found is I have to invest in both developing my masculine strengths and my feminine strengths.
mhm,
My Tibetan Buddhism, it has like, I have a strong feminine deity practice, Vajrayogini, that is my main practice. And that's always been a very important place for me to connect to that deeper way with the feminine and to develop that connection within me so that I'm able to bring that into the business. And with the masculine, you know, I have also other Shambhala practice that is about connecting with an enlightened king figure
mhm.
and connecting with that strong masculine wisdom and sharpness and readiness to engage the world, like having that confidence. It's a practice that really helps develop that confidence that I find is so necessary for
Right,
engaging the world. In the feminine, the challenge is how to calm enough to go into that state of being and
right.
actually able to be in the moment, be with yourself. However, we also need to have that ability to be ready to go out and engage others. And so it's kind of like this seesaw that we have to go back and forth. And so, A, I have had specific practices that I've worked with in order to develop both the feminine and the masculine strengths. And the other thing is how important it is to create time in your schedule, both to be in the feminine aspect and to be in the masculine aspect.
Right.
Because, if you spend all your time in the masculine and just trying to do all the tasks for the business and do promotion, then you get very dry. You get
Yes.
very, very dry. Your soul gets dry.
Yeah.
So, one of the practices that I did before meeting Eden is that I always took Saturdays offline, and I always went to a nature area,
Right.
weather permitting. Much of the year, weather permitting, I would take my shoes off. I would always have my bare feet on the ground for several hours during the day. I would be alone. I had this favorite little nature area in Point Pleasant Park in Halifax, and I would feed the chickadees.
Mhm.
I would have my feet on the earth. I would hold a piece of black kyanite to really help me to ground and to connect with my earth star chakra. Um, I would make offering to the earth. I would always make sure that I spent that time every week to connect and to ground and to be present with Mother Earth.
Good.
So that really helped to balance out the activity that my masculine part was doing during the week. So I know that everybody has their different ways, but all I'm saying is that it is important
Yeah.
to really make sure that you are creating a sense of balance for yourself, nurturing both your masculine and your feminine so that you have that sense of juice within you to be able to bring to the business.
That's, oh, such an important point because the masculine, in my experience, tends to want to help, but it wants to take charge and it's supposed to kind of direct, right? So it's like this real balance where one's masculine side has to recognize the importance and the importance of the dream time and the connection with nature and the being able to just not be focused, right, and to just allow oneself to receive and to replenish and to reconnect with the natural world. So important. And it can be it can be a little struggle sometimes, at least in my experience, if you have a strong masculine side, to work with that masculine so that he understands how to actually support the feminine in a way that's truly supportive of her, right? Because in my experience, it's easy for that masculine to sort of like direct the feminine so much that she almost kind of becomes enslaved, right? It's like because that
Yeah.
she's the creative, it's like what wells out of her, and it's like it can get, I think it ties into that what you were saying about how we're told to do business, that kind of enslaves the feminine side, because it's like, okay, well, you need to pump out 20 blog posts quarter and blah, 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 right? So that we can fit in and meet the deadlines and, and fulfill the
Mm.
strategy, right? And there's this kind of, a lot of times the actual beautiful, creative, feminine flow from the heart, right? It just gets swamped, and it's easy for her to burn out and be like, no more. And then you're heading into burnout and you're heading into frustration, and things tend to really fall apart. At least that's been my experience. I don't
Absolutely.
know about yours, but
Oh, I think it's been so many people's experience. So yes, definitely, I relate, and I love how you said several times that it's that feminine part that is able to go into the dream time, and that is the space in which we create our visions.
yeah,
And life cannot just be about having a never-ending to-do task list that we're always just trying to keep up with. That is no life,
yeah,
and you're not actually going to be contributing to the life in the world. It is important to have that dream time and to be able to be with and to see clearly what is most important to you. And then I have found that can be extremely helpful to the masculine, so that the masculine is not just like becoming a workaholic, but
right,
has that direction. Like,
right,
really, it's the feminine that can create that vision, that can direct, so that the masculine knows, what's important, what tasks really aren't so important that you can just drop off the list. Like, once you have that clarity about
yeah.
what is truly from the heart important, then it makes the masculine's job a lot more easy.
Right. She really actually sets the vision, but he has to be receptive to her receptivity, right? Receptive to direction. I think the feminine directs in a different way. She's just has this presence, but it's quieter, right? And she's not going to take you by the shoulders and go like that. You have to be aware of, okay, she's orienting herself in a certain way, and be sensitive to that, um, and really listen and allow her to show you where the beauty is.
I love that.
Mm.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And well, like I'm channeling the stuff in, but this is lessons from me right now, because a lot of this is stuff that I've been working with over the past few years. It's
Mm,
starting to really crystallize, but it's like, I think there's a big difference between being able to channel and recognize intellectually, and then when the challenge is to take it and put it into practice. And I think that's that harmonious masculine feminine working together, right? If we can take
mm,
what we know, and then actually, I think that is a big part of the practice of spiritual practice of business, is like, okay, now we are actually bringing it into the world.
mm.
Yeah. So
Now, just to take a pause there, what you just said was quite loaded.
because it is like, business is this practice of, it's a manifesting practice. So it's this creative, right? It's tapping into the creative power of the universe and using these energies of creation, of generation, in a way that, when it's done harmoniously, can really be healing, I feel, right? And not just to oneself, but to everyone you're working with, your customers, your vendors, your um, even people following you on social and rippling out into the greater world, right?
Yeah, thank you
Power.
for expanding on that.
Mm.
I I notice, first of all, Eden, thank you so much for coming and being live with us here. And I noticed that she just posted a more a meaty post. I'm wondering if we want to highlight
Oh, let's do that.
that.
I'm trying to see how, let's see, show.
Okay, I'll just read it out loud.
There
Oh,
it is.
beautiful.
I love this. Yeah, go ahead and read it.
As our divine feminine side rises, our divine masculine, rather than the wounded masculine, needs to rise up and hold the strength for her. The balance is so important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. And such a great quote. So thank you, Eden. That's a bomb right there.
Yes, thank you so much, Eden. That was
Beautiful.
a divine feminine rising right there.
Yes, absolutely. And just, oh man, honor that. Um, okay, so Andrea, I know that you have something special happening next week. I wonder if you could share a little bit about that.
Oh, yeah, would love to. So it's happening on January 22nd through 24th. And if perchance somebody is listening to this after it's already happened, it will likely be happening again after. So be sure to check the link.
Okay.
So Eden and I will be teaming up and we will be creating a very, very powerful vortex of energy for spiritual entrepreneurs. We are offering a 3-day masterclass called Activate Your Spiritual Business.
Mhm.
And it is going to be an amazing combination of, first of all, key foundational business wisdom. I'm going to be presenting key, three success keys for spiritual entrepreneurs in their business, the business side.
Yeah.
I will be activating, like energetically activating each of those keys. They will be having an experience of activating the key. Eden will be the merchant priestess for us, right
Mhm.
there live on each session. And she will be having her crystals. She calls in energies as she is guided to ascended masters, archangels, unicorns, dragons. She has access to a great host of spiritual energies. And so she will be calling in what she feels is appropriate in support of the group um, working through the business curriculum that we'll be going through in the masterclass. So
Mhm.
while we are learning success keys, doing activations, she will be doing Lyran crystalline soul healing
Mhm.
for the group, specifically releasing fears, releasing limiting beliefs. So it's going to be like this healing energy bath that we will be in for each of the sessions. And they're just 45-minute sessions
Mhm.
um, at the lunch hour for many people. Eastern time, it's 12 to 12:45 for
Mhm.
those 3 days, 3 45-minute sessions. And I know that you signed up, and I'm wondering if you would like to share what inspired you to sign up for it.
Well, I feel like 2024 is just a huge year for me. Everything, so much has crystallized that I feel like I finally have a very clear direction of where I'm going in my, and actually it's really more towards a ministry. So it's not like business, but it very much
Wow.
incorporates an entrepreneurship and also being called to support entrepreneurs in stepping up in that. So this is a really opportune time for me, right? It's like I'm about
Mm,
to launch into a whole different iteration, or it's I'm very excited about the direction that I'm being called to go in, and it just feels like, well, you came along with this, and it's like I just saw it as like, you know, it's an opportunity to really, I don't know, it just felt like a blessing. It just felt like a blessing, and wherever I know that there's, I feel like I'm going to come out of it with greater clarity, but also I think the energetic support and the blessings that Eden's going to be bringing to it. I just, something about that dual, those two energies working together. It just felt to me like, okay, let's do this. And it's free of charge, so it's like, why not? Right? Why not? Right? See what you're about and feel into this. And it just feels like this sort of divine space that's being held and offered from the heart. I can feel it very strongly. It's from both of you, from the heart. And that's, I think, the biggest thing that was like, okay, I'll be doing this.
wow. Well, thank you so much for experiencing, like, sensing that and also listening to how your inner world responded. I am still suspecting that you have some past life experience with sacred commerce that, there's, some little thing that's, starting to say, hey,
I
I need to wake up with Ona.
I think so, because when I tune into next week's event, it just feels like, okay, there's going to be an initiation there for me. That's really what it felt like, and yeah, so why not, right? And I just want to thank you for doing this, because I feel like it's very needed. I feel personally there's a very strong reason why I'm being drawn to work with entrepreneurs, and it's because entrepreneurs, I just keep getting this download that uh, entrepreneurs are a very special breed of people that that are able to actually influence or help to direct energy in the world, right? In a
Yeah.
very specific, unique way. We're leaders, right? And being a business isn't
Yes.
just about making money, it's about leadership. Um, and to support business leaders who really are on the spiritual path, through business, the entrepreneurs as a group have this amazing power to help to shift and direct universal energy on the earth, like the earth Gaia energy, in ways that are going to help us all to heal and to raise our vibration. It's helping the earth herself, and to me, that's like I am very dedicated to Mother Earth, and somehow I just feel this connection very strongly. That there's a lot of people that look at business as a whole and see that as destructive to the earth, and I feel like, no, it's not business, it's not money, it's not all that, it's the vibration behind it, and we have
Mm.
power and the opportunity to shift that whole ship has been driven in a certain direction for a long, long time, and to shift course and to move into a direction that's really so much more beautiful.
Yeah.
So
Very beautifully put. Thank you so much. And that really resonates with me for why I've chosen to work with spiritual entrepreneurs as well, because I feel I can have the greatest impact by helping those who can have great impact in the world.
right, right. And not that you can't have great impact in other ways, and not everybody's called to this. I think there's a lot of people also who are called to just simply hold the presence and be energetic anchors, no matter where they are, whether they're staying at home and making jam in their kitchen or working at a 9 to 5 or whatever. I mean, we're all called in different ways, but I think entrepreneurs, if you are innately an entrepreneur, you feel it, or if you're called to do a certain work that not everybody is necessarily entrepreneurial, but there are those that they're called to do a certain work and they're kind of thrust into it. So and that is just because at this time period that we're in right now, that there are it's a way to help to break out of the old entrenched systems, and to help to start to build
So
new
important.
infrastructure. So even if I think there's a lot of people that really that don't even want to deal with business, but they are so called, they have such a calling to do the work to do in the world, and that to be able to embrace entrepreneurship and have that support, and just figuring out the basics of, well, okay, how do I bring this to the world, and that's huge too. So
Yeah.
um, all right. Well, I
Well,
will, once this is over, I don't, do you have I don't know if Eden is still listening, if she's able to put the link into the stream. Eden, if you can do that, or let me see if I can find the link. Otherwise, I will put that right in the description box as soon as we are done of the video. But if you could just tell us, is there a URL that people can follow
ah,
to sign up
I
for
have
your
gotten access
you
to.
Nexus? Awesome.
Okay. It says this comment has failed to post
Oh,
to
okay.
your page. Do I need to be
I don't know. Let me see. Everybody bear with us because I'm using technology that's a little bit new to me. So, um,
all right. Well, Eden, I just sent you the link in our Slack channel. If you would be able to repost that link, apparently you have access
yeah, she just
to the
made a
chat.
comment there. All right. And then Oh, Love Path
Oh,
says,
thank you.
Love Path is excited for the class. Awesome.
Oh, wonderful.
Being here. And we're just kind
I
of
think
waiting.
Eden is going to post. I think Eden is going to be able to post that
Yeah,
link in
well,
the chat.
while we wait, maybe if we can, if anybody is listening and has any questions for Andrea, feel free to ask in the chats. If you have any questions about
Absolutely.
entrepreneurship or business or anything of that sort, even just staying
Or
balanced,
sacred commerce.
sacred commerce, feel free to put those in the chat. And let me see if I can. Yeah. So I guess maybe I will ask a question while we wait. If you were, what advice do you have for somebody who is just kind of feeling that call but has no clue, just absolute newbie in business? Where would you start? Besides attending your class next week, but what would be like the first 3 steps and briefly of how to think
So,
about getting started?
what's the exact scenario?
Absolute newbie, maybe it's a person, let's say this is a common scenario, somebody who's called to be a healer, who maybe just graduated from some kind of a healing program, is ready to go out there and offer their gifts to the world in a commerce sort of way, but has no background in business. Where do they start?
Okay, interesting scenario.
Mhm.
So, so the first thing is make sure that you have some stream of income. Like when you're growing a baby, you don't want to put too much pressure on the baby right in the beginning. You
Yeah.
want to create the space to be able to develop your business. The second thing is I think that it would be helpful to tune into something like the masterclass that Eden and I will be giving, something that is free, something that is low key, but something that really gives you something to start to think about, to be creating greater clarity about where you're going. Um, we have we create an environment where it's very tailored so people can really look at their own situation and pull out some gems and some nuggets for their next steps. So if you can find something like that that can foster your development, it could even possibly. I know that in the beginning of my doing business, I took an incubator program that was offered. It got me started with self employment,
Mhm.
and so there might be some program locally that you can register for. And sometimes it takes, sometimes it can take some time before you actually get in. So stay the course. I do think starting a business is a big thing. And I know that you know this, Ona. There's a
Yeah.
lot involved. So it's very important to tap into resource, support, mentorship.
Yeah.
And so that's the two things. So a third thing, I'm going to pull it from that very first business training that I took.
Yeah.
They said, you need to distance yourself from anybody who is a naysayer, anybody who's saying that you shouldn't be, doing this.
Yeah.
And just, put some distance between those people and really surround yourself with people who will be cheerleading, people
Oh,
who will be lifting you up and saying, yes, this is great. Yes, you can do this.
right.
Because it is a hero's journey. It is challenging. And so you need to surround yourself with people who are going to be supportive and reflecting your light back to you. How's
Beautiful.
that for three things?
Beautiful. I think all three are spot on, and I think there is so much support for entrepreneurs locally too. A lot of times people are looking online, but it's like, I know in my area there is a similar thing, incubator sort of thing, that where an entrepreneur can go in and get free help with getting started. So I think that's great advice. A Love Path 101. I'm going to just kind of show the comments. I'm coming out of divorce. I have a housekeeping business for 17 years. Would like to move into helping
Also,
others move through life,
Eden,
but hard time getting back to feeling. I'm guarded, perhaps my masculine taking over because I was so empathetic and finding balance. Um, yeah. So any thoughts for Love Path 101?
okay. I am. I was just. I just on this practical note, Eden. I posted the link in our Slack group. if you could look there. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, so coming out of a divorce, of a housekeeping business for 17 years, would like to move into helping others move through life, but I'm having a hard time getting back to feeling I'm guarded, perhaps my masculine taking over because I was so empathic, and I'm finding balance. Okay, so so what's coming through for me is that, first of all, how fantastic that you already have 17 years experience being an entrepreneur. That's huge. We were just talking about that initial learning curve of running your own business. So that is a huge resource that you have. And the divorce piece, for me, that speaks to this relationship piece that I was talking about earlier. And so, divorce is generally a very difficult thing to go through, and no wonder you might be doubting yourself a little bit of being too maybe empathic or even empathetic with people. Um, like, I guess just to bring some compassion to yourself at this time, um, and that it will be important to find ways of doing healing and the right timing for you around the divorce, around this most intimate relationship breaking down, and you reestablishing that trust in yourself, and that trust in your love, that trust in your ability to be empathic. And again, in the right timing. But a very key thing will be regaining your trust in yourself and in human nature in general.
Mhm.
So, perhaps you can allow the dream time around this new business that you are thinking that you might like to get into. Um, so, I think that you said that you are coming to the masterclass, and the masterclass could be a great place for you to nurture that dream of this new business that you're interested in. It's also an opportunity for you to do some healing, that relational healing after the divorce. So, you've already got in place your steady income with your current business, which is good. And you can, I just encourage you to allow the time that you need to heal your heart, not to push your healing too fast,
Mhm.
and just to allow, gentle spaces like the masterclass for you to be able to explore this dream of your new business and to receive some healing around what you've been through.
Yeah, thank you, Andrea. I have a couple thoughts also for Love Path 101 because I can so relate. I went through a divorce about 5 years ago and had a non-spiritual business also at the time that was supporting me. And so you're gonna, oh my, it's such a step. It's such a step, and give yourself the time to heal, for sure. It's like moving out of that relationship. There's going to be a decompression time, and it's such a sacred time that you're entering right now, and it is a beautiful time for healing. So I guess if I have thoughts, would be one to really put a lot of gratitude into your existing business because it's enabling you to step out of that whatever situation it was and into, it's something that's helping you to carry through into your next phase of life. But you're in this beautiful, almost kind of crucible sort of state, right, where you're in the cocoon. I think when you come out of a relationship, and there's it may feel, at least it did for me, like everything fell apart for a few years. And so if you feel something like that happening, it's okay, because that is the process of transformation, of being able to process and integrate what you've gone through in your life up until now, so that you can move out of that in a transformed way and really bring your gifts and your power to the world. So treasure this time. It's not necessarily easy, but it's so sacred that you're in right now. And a couple things I could say would be self love, really working with loving yourself, huge, and also the gratitude aspect of everything that's happened, and and especially also your current business, because it's easy, I think, sometimes if we're you know as entrepreneurs, if we're in a business that we started way long ago and doesn't seem to be aligned, that there's going to be aspects of that business that through which you can do your healing work in the world too.
Mhm.
I have a friend who cleans houses for a living, and I had a conversation with her about a few months ago, and she was also at this point where it's like, I want to do more, and and it's interesting because this friend of mine is always hanging out with the healers, and I looked at her and I said, do you realize when you're cleaning houses, you're doing clearing work, you're doing energetic work when you go through a house? Why do you think you're hanging out with all the healers? Because you are one. Right? And she started thinking, she's like, she says, well, people are always telling me the house feels so much more uplifted. I feel uplifted after you've been through my house. I was like, yeah, bingo, because you're not just cleaning dirt. You're doing energy work, and very profound energy work as well. So just keep in mind that, whatever you're called to do, you're going to be doing through everything that you do. So.
Beautiful response, Anna. And thank you so much, Love Path, for bringing forward your question. I love that we were able to, basically just got two spiritual business coaches, on board for you right away. Wonderful, attractive abilities that you have. So,
Oh my gosh. Okay. So,
all right. So I'm wondering if we should be maybe moving into wrapping up now.
yeah, that's what I'm looking at. And I'm going to, let's see. Oh, anyway, I will find that link and put it in the description box after
Oh,
this. We've wrapped
yeah.
up.
YouTube isn't allowing the link to be posted in the chat.
Oh, I
Eden,
see.
Eden
Okay.
tried to post it, and it will not allow any links, I guess, to be
Oh,
posted in the
okay.
chat.
So let me see. Love Path's response. Cool. Yes. Beautiful connection. Mother Earth and animals. Beautiful. So awesome. All right. So yeah, we'll get that link down there for whomever would like to check it out, and as well as where can people reach you if they just want to find out more about you, Andrea? Would be your website that you'd like people to look at, Andrea? If they,
Well, my main website will work fine. It's www.andreamwin.com.
Win, Win. Okay.
AndreamWinn.com. Hey, you were able to post that link.
I
Yay.
think so. I can't see it though. Oh, there it is.
I see it. It's there.
There we go. All right. So if
Thank
anybody
you.
wants to check out Andrea, see what she's up to, see what she's all about, and yeah. So thank you so very much, Andrea. It's been a pleasure having you on. I think so many epiphanies, like I expected at the beginning. It's like, yes, there's been a lot here, and I just am so honored and blessed to have had this conversation with you. So thank you so much. And for
I feel the
everybody,
same way. Thank you, Ona.
yeah. And for everybody listening, just all our love to you. And to remember, you were born to be free.
Beautiful.